Your brain is not broken. It never was. It is simply loyal. Loyal to an older version of you. A version that once felt safe. A version that learned how to survive when life felt uncertain, overwhelming, or out of control. At some point in your past, this version worked. It helped you avoid pain. It helped you cope. It helped you get through moments you didn't yet have the tools to handle. And your brain remembered that version of you. Because that's what the brain does. It doesn't chase happiness. It doesn't optimize for fulfillment or growth. Its primary job is survival. To your brain, survival means predictability, familiar routines, familiar reactions, familiar outcomes. Even when those outcomes are disappointing, even when they keep you stuck, even when they quietly drain your potential. Every habit you repeat today is not random. It is a memory your brain is trying to protect. Every time you delay starting, every time you choose distraction over focus, every time you promise yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow." From the outside, it looks like procrastination. From the inside, it's protection. Because predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable change. This is why change feels uncomfortable, not just physically, but emotionally. Even when you want it, even when you know your life could be better, even when you're tired of staying the same. Your brain doesn't interpret change as improvement. It interprets change as uncertainty, and uncertainty feels dangerous. So when you sit down to work on something meaningful, your brain intervenes. Not with fear, not with panic, but with subtle resistance. You suddenly feel tired. Your focus fades. Your phone feels more interesting. Your motivation quietly disappears. And because it doesn't feel dramatic, you assume something is wrong with you. You start telling yourself stories. I'm lazy. I lack discipline. I can't stay consistent. This always happens to me. But those thoughts are not the root of the problem. They are symptoms. The real conflict isn't happening in your motivation. It's happening in your identity. Your brain holds a model of who you are. It was built over years, through repetition. This is how you act when things get hard. This is how you respond to pressure. This is how much effort you usually give before you stop. Over time, that model hardens. Not because it's accurate, but because it's familiar. And eventually, it becomes your identity. So the moment you try to become more focused, more disciplined, more confident, your brain reacts, not because it hates growth, but because growth threatens the identity it has been protecting. Trying harder means risk of failure, risk of disappointment. And at some point in your past, failure hurt. Maybe you tried and didn't get results. Maybe you were judged. Maybe you burned out. Maybe you let someone down. Maybe you let yourself down. So your brain adapted. It learned a rule. Trying less hurts less. Expecting less feels safer. Staying the same avoids pain. That rule quietly became part of who you are. This is why motivation never lasts. Motivation comes from the future, but your brain lives in the past. Motivation says this time could be different. Your brain says last time didn't end well. So it pulls the emergency brake. Not violently, not obviously. It just guides you back to what's familiar. Old habits, old routines, old distractions. Not because you are weak, but because your brain is loyal. And the longer this cycle repeats, the deeper it goes. Inconsistency turns into identity. Avoidance turns into personality. Self-doubt turns into self-definition. Now you're no longer fighting habits, you're fighting the story you believe about yourself. That's why forcing discipline rarely works long-term. Because discipline asks your brain to betray an identity it has been protecting for years. And the brain resists betrayal. But here's the part most people never learn. Your brain is not your enemy. It's outdated. It's loyal to a version of you that was built for survival, not for growth. And loyalty can be updated. Not through pressure, not through motivation, not through self-criticism, but through identity evidence. Your brain doesn't change because of what you promise. It changes because of what you repeatedly do. Small actions, low-pressure effort, consistent proof. Proof that starting doesn't lead to danger, that effort doesn't end in disaster, that showing up doesn't destroy you. This is why massive goals often fail. When you say, "I'm going to completely change my life," your brain hears threat. But when you quietly show up, do a little more than yesterday, and stop before burnout, your brain begins to relax. It updates the file. This person can begin. This person survives effort. This person follows through sometimes. And that's how identity shifts. Not overnight, not dramatically, but permanently. New habits stop feeling forced. Discipline feels lighter. Action feels safer. Not because life became easier, but because your identity changed. Real change does not begin with asking, "What should I do?" It begins with asking, "Who am I becoming?" Because when your actions support a new identity, your brain follows. So, the next time you fall back into an old pattern, don't attack yourself. Don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Say this instead: "My brain is protecting an identity I no longer need." That sentence removes shame, and shame is what keeps old identities alive. When shame disappears, choice returns, and that's where real change begins.